So we are here and we've got some people rolling in. So I would love to see, and I'm sure our guest here, Karen, would love to see where everyone is coming from. If you guys can post in the chat what city, state, and your brokerage, and how many years you've been in the industry, that would be great. I'd always love seeing where everyone is. I just came back from Newport Beach yesterday afternoon. So I was like seeing where everyone is. I'm of course here in the office in Fountain Hills, Arizona. I see some people from Arizona and Prescott and Phoenix and Florida and Pearland, Texas.
All over.
Ooh, and Denver.
Denver.
Yay. And I have our fabulous guest here, Karen Albert with, she's the owner and founder of Behind Your Curtain. And we're going to be talking about how real estate agents can reach their target audience on social media. And Karen, thanks so much for joining us. And do you want to tell everyone here? We've got people from Chicago and Atlanta and all over. Yeah, where what you do and what you've been, a little bit about your company.
Yeah, thank you so much. So so grateful to be here with you and sharing this time with you and all of these amazing people that are joining us from all over the country. So yeah, I started a company 12 years ago, I can't believe it, called Behind Your Curtain. And the history behind that is I call it my past life. I worked for in the corporate world. I really never even knew that I had like this entrepreneurial bug in me. And, you know, straight out of college when started working for someone else. And I worked for a software company based out of Santa Monica, California. And I was with them for almost 18 years. And in that time, I was able to, you know, my background is sales and marketing, and we actually did get some exposure to Facebook. We used it for our clients, the private Facebook groups and stuff like that. We were one of the early adopters of using that. So that was like mid 2000s, right? And then in 2010, I lost my mom suddenly in 3 months to cancer, like crazy healthy to, you know, not with us anymore. And so I don't know if you or anybody on here has had a situation that's literally caused them to reevaluate like everything that they're doing in their life. Yeah. So that was that for me. And I just decided to part ways and kind of do some soul searching and find some purpose in that pain. And a next door neighbor of mine has a nonprofit organization. And so she came over and she's like, well, you're not doing anything. And you know, that Facebook thing, and I've got a fundraiser and I need help. And so I was like, okay. So fast forward 90 days, we had this fantastic event. It was a total success. And the realtors who donated the space for the event came up to me and said, so how much can we pay you to help us with our social media? Yeah. And that's literally how it started. And I was like, I'm going to get right back to you on that because that's opportunity knocking, right? So yeah, fast forward to today, I feel so blessed that I've been able to help and support thousands now of real estate professionals and small business owners to just learn how to effectively and strategically use, you know, social media so they actually kind of can stand out and start to actually see some return on their efforts. So that's it in a nutshell. Here we are. 2022.
Yeah, no, that's a great story. I mean, I think there's a lot of us that, you know, kind of have that one pivotal moment in life where things kind of change for us. And what I love that you said too is about the social media. It's not just like, okay, let me just scoot over, let me take this over for you. It's about the strategy, because there is a strategy to it. It's not, you know, you're not just going out there. I mean, a lot of times, and I was just at an event in Newport Beach earlier this week, and I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about marketing and marketing's, you know, efforts and strategies. And I said, it is, and I'm not a fisherman type of person. I don't really fish. I have 3 times in my life with my husband, but I've always caught fish. The 3 times I've gone, I have caught, because there's a strategy to it. Like everything you do, even if you're, we have a dartboard out here outside of my office. Like even if you're playing darts, whatever you're doing, there is a target and there is a strategy of hitting that mark. And even with social media, you have to have, whatever you do, there's a strategy. When you to be successful in whatever it is that you're endeavoring in, there has to be some kind of plan. So then you execute it successfully, no matter what it is that you're doing.
And you think about social media, right? It sort of came on the scene so abruptly, and and we were just sort of expected to figure it out and know what to do. And then you've got, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, and now we've got TikTok, and then you've got all these other ones. And it's sort of like, the realtors that I tend to work with and have conversations with, they sort of fall into one of two buckets when it comes to social media. They're either like on it all the time, hamster in a wheel, and they're like investing a lot of time and they're not really generating any results, or they're in this complete aversion. Like analysis paralysis, right? I don't know what I'm supposed to do, so I'm just going to completely avoid it. And the two things that are really causing them to fall into either one of those buckets is, one, not having a strategy, and two, not having the simple step-by-step instructions on how to execute that strategy, so that you are not spending hours hamster on a wheel. You're like, 30 minutes, carve that out. I know exactly what to do. So I'm not going to be in this analysis paralysis or avoidance space, right? Because again, like you're saying, if you're just kind of throwing the darts at the board, right? You got to have a strategy in anything in your life. Otherwise, you're just kind of winging it. And then you can't really kind of get disappointed or, at the fact that you're not really seeing tangible results that you want,
Right. And I love the comment from Tanya here is like, yes, I need the step by step, right?
Yeah.
Like, exactly. So the first time I went fishing ever in my life, I've only done it 3 times. I said to my husband, all right, so, what are we out here? What are we doing? And there's a strategy, like there's a certain bait that you have to put on the hook in order to catch the certain fish. You put out a hot dog and you're going to get tilapia. If you put out whatever, I don't know what other thing, you're going to get the sea bass or the red snapper. And so you want to make sure that, and then where are you doing this at, right? So you want to have the right tools. You need to have all the strategies. You need to have all the things in place to kind of, go from, 1 + 1 = 2. You've got to have all of those things set out and laid out. And
to your point about like knowing what bait to use, that is very relevant to which fishing hole are you in. And that is exactly kind of what I say to my clients is, you can't be trying to be a realtor to everybody, because they tend to go into whatever social media platform it is. I specialize in Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, because those are the 3 top platforms that you can still actually really be seen and generate leads. The other ones, it's very difficult to, cut through that noise. But most are using these platforms to sort of be all about them and everything to everybody, right? So they're just kind of throwing everything out there. And the problem with that is that you are really working against yourself, because there is this thing that's called an algorithm, right? And the algorithm is either going to help you be seen, or you're going to sit there with your fishing pole all day long and not get caught, because the algorithm wants to help you. It wants to be able to show you to the right community. But the thing is you have to help the algorithm. You have to understand what is the algorithm needing from you as a realtor and a business owner, so that can start to show your content. And what doesn't work is when you're just trying to be in everything to everybody and hoping, right, that you catch a fish, and hoping that you're being seen.
Right. And doing all of that is exhausting, because then you're trying to figure out, there's, I don't know how many social media platforms are out there, 6, 7, 8 of them, right? And if you are trying to, what you'll never be able to do is, if you're in all of them, is you'll never be able to perfect them all, right? Exactly. That takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, a lot of resources. Exactly. And so, and then you need to have because it's not just about generating the leads, folks. It's not, you have to have a strategy after that. Once you capture it, it's kind of like once you go fishing and you get the fish, I mean, what are you going to do? I was like, oh, you got to touch this thing. I'm like, it's slippery, it's slimy. I'm like, ugh. But you got to know what to do afterwards, and you have to know where to take it and what to do with it. And so when you do eventually capture a lead, right? When you capture the attention of somebody, they've gone through and they're like, yes, I want to talk to you, and they fill out this form, then what happens? right? You have to
Yeah.
have a strategy for that even. And so then today we're going to talk, Karen, a little bit more, talking a little bit more about strategies. So if you can explain, I know we've got a lot of people out here, and a couple of things that I wanted to also share with the audience is that you'll see that you guys have a chat in the bottom of your screen there. You can post any questions, any comments that you have there. There's also a Q&A section. I have our marketing manager, Sarah, also on the webinar here. She's going to be kind of putting in, answering all of your questions. So feel free to post any questions in the Q&A section. And then, and any thing in the chat as well. So that's one thing. And we'll be sharing our screen. So part of the process of the whole entire funnel that Karen's going to take us through is, what's some of the strategies? What are some of the strategies that they can build out in their business today? And I think the first and foremost thing is what platform are you in, right? Figuring that out is kind of step one, right? And a lot of us are on Facebook. I mean, that's kind of the predominant tool that people are using. But then from there, where does it go? And a lot of these tools work really well where you're filling out some kind of form, and then after that form, where does that go? And that would be in your CRM and Wise Agent. And I'll kind of take you through what you can do within Wise Agent. So we're going to take you through all the steps. So all right, Karen, I'm going to let you take it from here and kind of explain to everyone what is a strategy. And obviously everyone's strategies can be slightly different. It's going to vary from person to person, but maybe some general tips that they can use in order to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So kind of going back to what I was saying earlier is that, you tend to either be the hamster or the avoidance. And when I talk about strategy, what I mean by that is that when you are on, let's say, Facebook, for example, the understanding first and foremost, to your point, is knowing which platform to be on. And as I had said earlier, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn are the ones that you can absolutely still be seen on. But the thing is if we kind of separate ourselves and just go back to basic marketing 101, right?
Yeah.
The most important thing that you really need to understand before you launch into these social media platforms is who is it ideally that you want to attract? Because maybe the who you want to attract isn't really on LinkedIn all that much, but maybe they're heavy on Instagram, or maybe they're not really on Instagram and they're more on LinkedIn, right? So to your point is, let's not spread ourselves thin and try and be everywhere and everything to everybody. And so what I do when I work with my clients is I really help them to kind of unpack that ideal, who it is that they're wanting to attract. And a lot of times I get this big question mark, when I say, who is it ideally, that you're wanting to attract when you're using social media? And they're like, everybody with a pulse, right?
Right. And I love that, Tanya, Emily, Ken, they're already these are my markets, right? The foreign national, the senior, people that are moving up in their homes. I mean, it's good that you guys are posting these things because it means that who your target is. You're already,
and that's the way, right. And that's the way that you're going to then start to get the attention of the algorithm, because the algorithm in all social media platforms has one primary goal, and that goal is to make sure that it keeps the user community happy, right? Because if they're not happy, then they start to leave. And the way that it ensures that it makes the users happy is that it ensures that all the information that shows up on the user's newsfeed is right in alignment with what that user has an interest in. So all of us on here are dictating what we see show up on our newsfeed all day long, because we tend to post about and engage with content that is very much in alignment with our lifestyle and our reality. Right. And so the algorithm is monitoring this behavior all day long, which is very big brother. Zuckerberg is spending millions of dollars on predictive behavior analytics. Right. And this even spills outside of social media. You go to Google and search for a pair of shoes. Guess what's on your newsfeed when you come back?
Those shoes
even
are going to be
thing is listening to us now. Right. So it's kind of big brother creepy, but if you know how to leverage all of this data that the algorithm is monitoring, that's where you can really start to see some return on your efforts. Because once the algorithm gets a sense of what a user has an interest in, it actually seeks out content. It scans and looks at other pages to see if there's content being produced that it can organically start to serve up to a user community that it thinks might match that user's interest. So that's the challenge when I say, if you're trying to be in everything to everybody, the algorithm doesn't have a profile called in everybody, right? So the clearer you can get on who it is you want to attract and also where they are geographically. As realtors, again, a lot of times we try and be as broad as we can because you want to get buyers and listings everywhere, right? That from a business growth perspective, totally get that. Doesn't work when it comes to social media. So you really want to get clear on who it is you want to attract and what's your geographical pocket that you really want to show up in front of that community that says, wow, this realtor really has their finger on the pulse of what's going on in this community. It's kind of like going back to the dartboard analogy, it's the wide ring and then you've got the bullseye, right? The bullseye is like the hyper local geographical pocket that you really want to be seen. Because when the algorithm goes and scans the business pages, there's 5 questions that it's looking to get answers to. It's who you are, what you do, how you do it, who you do it for, and where you do it. And the who and the where are the 2 questions that we tend to neglect. We'll talk about what we do and how we do it, right, all day long. But until you can really unpack who it is you want to attract and where are they geographically, that's when you're kind of that tree falls in the woods scenario, right? You're just not going to be seen. And so, some great examples are of agents that I've worked with that I've helped help identify that particular who. There was an agent out in Los Angeles, and he was kind of like, I have no idea who I want to attract. So we kind of looked at some of his past clients, and so that's a great exercise for you to do is look at your top 10 clients, see what bubbles up to the top for you. Do you see some consistencies in demographics, income, geography, also psychographics, like where do they spend their time, their hobbies, their money, right? So kind of see what bubbles up to the top and see if you start to see some similarities. I worked with an agent in Dallas and we did this exercise with her. Come to find out, she had actually been working with a lot of single moms, divorced single moms with little kids. Guess what she was? Divorced single mom with little kids. So I've been doing this for 12 years and I will tell you that like attracts like. So don't discount what you have as your interest and lifestyle as well, that really plays in to it. And then you can use the social media platforms to really start to connect with and show up in front of that particular demographic.
And I think too, we also have to mention that, like, that authenticity, right? So you mentioned the single mom, with young children, that attracting, her clients are other single moms with young children. It's because she was probably authentic, right? And so if that has to come out, your personality should come out. You shouldn't force it to be, well, I want, this particular type of a seller or buyer. I was talking about this with a group of friends that are in the industry, and it's, when you want to break into the luxury market, well, you gotta, dress the part and all of that, but you have to also kind of fit into that world. You have to have certain, your brand needs to look like that. Everything about your company, you need to kind of fit into that mold as well. You need to have that, it needs to be personified in that way. And so, or if it's first time home buyers, someone was saying, I'm on Instagram because that's my typical client is a millennial. Well, okay. And that's fantastic. So where where they are.
Exactly.
You meet them there and then show your authentic self, because obviously they're coming to you, Sharon, because they feel like you understand what their needs are and you're able to meet those needs. And that's when you, kind of get them there. And so what, Kevin preemptively asked my questions is so how do you target that audience? How do you do that?
Exactly. So, once you do step one, get clear on the who and the where, then you really want to your point, is make sure that you are also optimizing and transforming your social media presence and brand, so that, if you start to become that shiny object to that particular demographic that you're wanting to attract, and you draw them over to take a look at you on Facebook or Instagram, you also want to make sure that you are showing up in a way that is very impressive, right? And also communicates that you do cater to that particular demographic. So I'm going to share my screen just because I want to show you some examples of, this is an agent. I worked with him, and when I share my screen, you're going to know that there is no question as to who it is that this particular agent is wanting to attract, right? This is all just coming from the header banner image. Can you see that? This is Alan Davis, right? So there's no question. And the strategy that he and I worked on together was helping him to find out, where does this particular demographic reside? So if you think about it, think about all of the millions of Facebook business pages or millions of Instagram pages that produce content that cater to the military, right? There are hundreds of them. So what this means is that you don't have to be the originator of your content at all times. You can seek out and find content that is going to add value to this community that you're wanting to attract. Because again, you got to go back to, what is the information that's going to show up on the newsfeed of this particular community? So if all you're doing is talking about real estate, you're probably not going to show up on the newsfeed of very many users. But if you're using your page to produce content that's going to add value to the military or the veterans, right? That's what's going to start to show up on their newsfeed. And so you have this opportunity when you get clear, right, on who it is. It makes it so much easier. I'm also going to show you Gary. I noticed that Gary's actually on here, and he and I have worked together. So this is his business, right? He is catering to the seniors. He wants to be able to add value and provide value and connect a lot of other realtors with the Next Step partners. And so again, there's kind of no question who it is that he wants to attract, right, as a result of having that social media. And then another one that I'll just show you real quickly, this is Lisa. So she was very into wanting to be kind of everywhere in Wisconsin. And I said, you can't be, let's hone in on your pocket. So she's like, well, I'm in Kenosha. I've worked in Kenosha. That's kind of my pocket. That's where I want to specialize in. And she really does cater to luxury. So we made sure that we optimized and transformed how her pages look and feel. So when she becomes that shiny object, right, and they look at her, they're going to be like, wow, this is impressive. This looks very professional. Lisa invests in her own marketing of her own business, right? So that translates to what they would do. And so for Lisa, she's looking for finding pages that provide really great information about high-end real estate and how do you do interior design and a lot of that, like, right, that sort of that higher affluent type of community. And then she really also focuses on finding information about what's going on in Kenosha, what's happening in that backyard, so she can start to produce that type of content on there.
Yeah. And I have to say this because I know I'm friends with a lot of realtors. I'm friends with a lot of agents around the country. I've been to a lot of the US. And I'll say this because I'm from Chicago, so I know where Kenosha is. I'm like, if you say to someone in Chicago, where's Kenosha? They pretty much know it's in Wisconsin. I don't know if someone from, I don't know, Dallas, Denver, other parts of the country are going to know exactly where the city of Kenosha is. So I appreciate the fact that Wisconsin is on here, like the state is on. Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I go to someone Facebook friend requests me or whatever, and I'm like, oh, where do I know them? And I'm like, they put the city name, like Lincolnwood, and I'm like,
right.
Where's Lincolnwood?
Exactly. Yeah.
Where in the world is Lincolnwood? Does anyone know? Yeah. I'm going to ask the audience if anyone knows where Lincolnwood is.
Who knows where Lincolnwood is? Yeah.
Right. So where's Lincolnwood? Don't Google it. But if you know, like, so it's because you have to show like the state, because if you're moving Absolutely. From one place to another, and what I can see from here, just by looking at this, is that if I'm going to start, like luxury in Kenosha, I'm probably going to end up finding her because she's saying this here. And Marianne found Illinois. Lincolnwood isn't from Illinois. That's where I'm from. That's my home city. Right. So, the thing is that you want to make sure that people can identify the where right off the bat without
Yep.
having to do a Google search to say, where's Lincolnwood?
Right.
You know,
exactly.
and so you want to make it easy. You want to make it where, you know, a clear call to action, the phone number, because there's that call now button, but then having their phone number. So then I don't have to go and like,
That's right.
do a Google search again,
That's right.
because then I'm taking, you know, I'm having to go away from your Facebook page to open up Google, and then I
Yeah.
open up Google and I start typing like, you know, KEN, and then something else, you know, Ken and Barbie
Right.
start showing up, and then I'm
Your
like,
phone
oh,
rings or
yeah,
something,
there's
right?
something
Yeah,
happening.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. You've got a split second, right? And that's the thing, is we
Absolutely.
want to make it as easy as possible for you to show up in front of the right community, have them go to you, be impressed with what they see, make it really easy for them to connect with you, right? And then for you to also use these now really good looking social media pages to connect with your local community, connect with a lot of the other local businesses, start to build relationships, nurture existing relationships that you have. And it's not impossible. I mean, I'm telling you that the agents that have executed the strategy that I've taught them on a consistent basis, if you do what it is that I teach you how to do, you go from being seen by a few hundred to thousands of people, because you're not trying to be in everything to everybody. You're just getting hyper focused in your particular geographical area.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love how the banner on Facebook is very, you know, just very clear on several things, like who are you, who is your target, all that stuff that you were saying, who are you, where are you doing this? It answers all of those questions really clearly in the banner ad. I think I'd also love to hear a little bit more on part of the strategy. I mean, because I see that was like, those were business pages, and it could also be on your own personal page, right? And obviously having links to both is always good. But then on the business page, I get this question a lot, and I'd love to hear your answer on this. Is okay, so what am I posting on my business page? Do I just post like, you know, okay, I'm selling 123 Main Street. Like, what am I posting on my business page exactly? So
good question. Yeah. And so it really needs to be a very healthy blend of you and what you have going on, but also content that is going to be of interest to this community that you're wanting to attract. Right. So again, going back to, you know, Alan, who is wanting to attract the military, it's teaching him to go and find these other Facebook business pages that produce content that is going to add value. That's the type of stuff that you can start to share onto your business page. And then also identify and look for a lot of the other pages that produce content that is in your geographical, that bullseye also. So you kind of want to have a good combination, because social media is about you staying relevant and top of mind and adding value. It is not another tool for you to be blasting out all about you. It's just not going to work. And regardless of what type of market we are in, and we know right now with this shift that we're having in this market, it's really even more critical that you have a really solid social media strategy and presence, and you are showing up in your community, not as a, hey, you know, give me a call so we can sell your house. That's not the conversation that you really want to be pushing down people's throats right now. It's let me add value. Let me show you that I know you, I know your interests, I know this community. And you do that by adding content that is going to be about them, not about you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right. And I think, and I would take it maybe even a step further and say it could be about you if you're, you know, like the single mom raising these young children. It could be sharing articles about being, you know, like if you're in
Yeah.
If you are your own target audience, which typically is not an uphill battle, right? That's something a little bit easier to break into because you're already there. You're already in that space. You probably know a lot of people that are experiencing the same things that you're experiencing, right? You're helping military families because you're probably in the military,
Exactly.
from a military family,
Right.
or it's close, near and dear to your heart, and you love and respect that, and that's why you're doing that. So sharing things of, okay, so when I'm interested in this, because as humans, we have many interests, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, you know, and I'll just even use myself as an example. Like I have a ton of interest in technology and real estate technology, but I also have other interests like gardening and baking and entertaining and whatnot. And so if I were to have a business page about, you know, let's say gardening, right? I'm not going to post stuff on technology in there, even though that's one of my interests. And I want people to see the authentic me. It's just that that's the wrong audience. Like I would walk into a room talking, you know, to people that they're there to hear maybe me speak on gardening, which I would never do because I don't know that much knowledge on that. But I would not start off by like, you know, the latest and greatest apps and this and that and the other, because they're going to be confused. So you don't want people to feel confused when they come to your business page and they see that you're, you know, helping with, you know, military families moving or single moms or luxury or whatnot. You don't want them to feel confused. You want them to feel like this is where they belong.
Yeah. And they can relate to you, right? And they can connect to you. Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of realtors tend to lean more towards using their personal Facebook page because they don't see the engagement on their business side. And I understand that, but the real reason is that you're not really using it strategically in a way that's going to help you to get more engagement and more followers on your business. And you have to be careful too, because Facebook has definitely become very, very sensitive to personal pages as a business. So I got a lot of agents contact me and they're like, Karen, I've been shut out, you know, so be careful about that. But there's nothing wrong with you sharing periodically, you know, especially if you do have something that you find is going to add value. And it could even be about a listing or something that you have going on. Post it on your business page first and then share it from your business page to your personal so that the brand is attached to it, right? It's giving your personal community the opportunity to become aware of you. And, you know, Facebook just rolled out this entire new Facebook interface, and I actually love it. I feel like Facebook has finally done something to give us as business owners an opportunity to really leverage all of the tools that Facebook has. And so now you have the opportunity to, you know, basically switch over from your personal profile to your business profile. So everything you do when you switch over to your business profile will be as your business page. So you want to make sure that you have your name very clear. Who are you? What do you do? And where do you do it? Put all of that stuff in your name, because if you're going to start to like and comment and share on content when you've switched over, all of that is going to be as your business page. So the name you've given your page is what's going to show up in the notifications to everybody else, right? That you have engaged with their post. Private groups are another fantastic opportunity for you to join as a business page. And, you know, not all about real estate. You can join the real estate groups if you want to, but join the groups that are in that hyper local bullseye area. So as your business page, not as your individual, so that your name as a business will start to appear and show up as well. But, you know, make sure you've done a little bit of, I say clean the house before you invite the party guests over, right? So just make sure you look good. You look professional and you've optimized your pages so that they're going to be impressed with, you know, what it is that they see. And then also kind of adding on to the being authentic side. There was another agent that I worked with based out of Los Angeles, and he was really new. We didn't have like the top 10, you know, look back at his customers, but we discovered that he and his wife, they were newlyweds, and they were like absolute pet lovers. And so we branded him as the realtor to pet lovers. And so he actually took it one step further and he transformed, he traded in his Jetta for a 4Runner and he transformed the back into literally like the fur baby transportation vehicle. Like he had
Yeah.
like the treats and he even had the cat carriers. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and he became that guy. He knew the HOA breed restrictions, the best neighborhoods. And then when you get clear on who, then you think about the other businesses that also cater to that who. So I was able to help him learn how to connect his business pages with the local vets and the dog walkers and the groomers, right? So everybody that wants to engage and attract that community, you just get to leverage the work that
Yeah.
they've already done because you're
Yeah.
clear on who it is. And a lot of the content that he put onto his page was really mostly all about pets, right?
Yeah.
Because that
And
was
being
his
relevant.
passion. And
Yeah.
that's how he showed up in front of the right community. So
And so one of my questions to you, and you guys, please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A section or in the chat. I'm keeping an eye on this while we're having this discussion here. But one of my questions to you is, could they also in the business page, because a lot of times, and I know agents, I talk to agents all day long, right? Is that coming up with content on their own, right, can be a challenge, even if it is a passion project of your own, right? Like, so the pets or military or whatever, it can be a challenge to come up with some of that content.
absolutely.
So my opinion is, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it, is, you don't always have to come up with your own content. You can share
Exactly.
from other,
Absolutely.
from other things. Like, you read an article and this is like, hey, this is going to be relevant to you. And right. You don't have to come up with your own content.
No, in fact, yeah, it's kind of this misconception because 50% of what the algorithm is looking at when it comes to business pages, one is, does your content add value? And the way that it measures value is likes, comments, and shares. So if you're getting a lot of likes and comments and shares on your content, then the algorithm's saying, okay, your content is adding value to the user community, and I'm willing to show this to a larger population of users. But the other 50% is, does your business support other businesses in Facebook? Does your Instagram page support other Instagram pages? And the way that you do that is by sharing other content, because on a scale of 1 to 10, when someone likes a post, it's like a 3 or a 4. And when someone comments, it's like a 6 or a 7. And when someone shares, it's like a 10 on the scale of how much value did this post add to the community. So sharing is the greatest indicator that you can tell the algorithm, or another individual can tell the algorithm about your post that it adds value. So again, with this new interface, when you switch over to engaging as your business page, it's so much easier now. You don't have to be like, oh, am I going to like this as my individual or as my business page? Am I going to share this to my personal or my business? When you switch over to the new business layout, everything you're doing is as your business. So it makes it a lot easier for you to, know that you are going to be adding value and engaging and connecting and sharing onto your business page. So it is kind of that misconception that we feel like we have to be creating our own content all the time. Leverage the content that these other pages have already done. And especially if you find a post from another page that adds valuable content that's going to be relevant to your community, and that post has a lot of likes, comments, and shares, that's a fantastic post for you to share onto your page, because the chances are you're going to get a very similar type of reaction as well, because it's kind of already like proven itself, if that makes sense. It's kind of earned the right, the algorithm is less apprehensive about holding it and not showing it because it's kind of already proven value.
Right. And then another thing is, if you're coming up with some content of your own, so maybe once a month, once a quarter, you're writing up some of that content of your own, then you could go in there and tag, so if you're with the pet lover and you're talking about, where the best vets are, what this is happening, what's that's happening, you tag those other pages. So then those other pages are like, oh, they're talking about me. They're more compelled to share that post because you're giving them some kind of praise, some kind of exposure, and then they're willing to share that. And that gets you higher up in the ranking.
It's kind of that ripple effect. Yeah.
Ripple effect. Yeah. So it's kind of, a little bit of the opposite of what, when you go to business school or when you're in business, you're always like, I just want to cast this wide net and, reach as many people, and you do. But sometimes with well, most times with the social media aspect of it, it's casting a smaller net in a very specific pool of people and making sure that that's the pool that, you know, that these people, that there's people in that pool, right, with you, and that you're always engaging with that same pool in all aspects. So it doesn't have to be just people that are willing to buy or sell real estate with you, but also, you know, that might be serving the people that are in there that might be willing to
Right.
buy and sell real estate through you. Okay. So it's
Exactly.
kind of a little bit of a mix of it all. So you would be promoting maybe other businesses, probably not other realtors, but other businesses that will help you, right?
Right. Yeah. And a question that I get a lot of times is they're like, okay, Karen, I understand what you're saying. You want me to get really hyper focused, but I don't want to miss out on the others. And it's the absolute opposite. You will not miss out, because if you're basically, your strategy right now is to just push stuff out and cross fingers and hope you're seen, you're not being seen by anybody. So what we want to do is really shine the spotlight on you in this particular pocket, right? And then it starts to spill out into the others. And so, you know, don't worry that if you get just focused on pet lovers, you know, Joe basically became the number 3 agent in his office in just a couple of years. And it's only because he was able to really get clear on who he wanted to attract and really start to add massive value to that particular community through using social media.
Yeah, I love that. And there's a question here from Susan asking, she says that she fumbles with hashtags sometimes and wonders, so how do those, is there a strategy for hashtags?
There is, absolutely. Yeah. And hashtags actually are really great to use in both, in actually all platforms, because the platforms, Facebook a couple of years ago actually incorporated some functionality to now in Facebook, there are dedicated pages for every different hashtag. And so, you know, if you create a list of strategic hashtags, there's a maximum of 30 that you can use across the platforms. And I do recommend that you use the 30, because that helps your content to not only show up on your page, but all of those other hashtag pages as well. And the community does look at hashtag pages. But here's the thing, don't do a list of hashtags that's all about you, right? Because guess who's looking at other realtor hashtags? Other realtors. So again, I'm going back to the Joe the pet lover. Most of his hashtags were hashtags that pet lovers would be using. So you kind of want to think about a blend, a mix of, is a percentage of it is hashtags relevant to you and what you do. And also then hashtags relevant to where you do it, and then hashtags relevant to who you do it for. So you're going to kind of show up in front of all of those you know, different demographics that are monitoring.
And so, and just to be clear, so you're saying hashtags on Facebook, hashtag on Instagram, LinkedIn, like, and I know LinkedIn recently did add like when you go to post there, there is like a thing where it says like add your hashtags here. So that, I think that was just a few months ago that was recently added.
In Facebook, sorry, in LinkedIn and Instagram, you can follow hashtags. And so I highly recommend that you follow the hashtags that are relevant to your where and your who, because those pages are fantastic producers of content for you, right? So if you're wanting to attract the seniors, go to the hashtag pages that you think the seniors are. If you're wanting to attract the millennials, go to the hashtag pages that you think millennials are using, or the pet lovers. And those are the pages that are going to show you the content that you can possibly repurpose, and also either the businesses you want to follow and engage with, or the users that you want to follow and engage with. So hashtags are a really, I use them and I follow them, and I look at hashtag pages all the time. So don't discount them.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's, and so, there's a question here by Stormy's asking, how many would you recommend? And I think you're saying there's 30 max in Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So use all of those, Stormy. Yeah. So and I love that. I love how there are these specific strategies, and these are the things that you guys can do to attract others, because this is and this is just all posting. This is all free. This isn't, there's
Exactly.
nothing, you haven't done
100%
any, you haven't
organic.
paid,
That's
yeah, you
right.
haven't paid for anything, you
Mhm.
guys. Like, you're just making, making a nice, beautiful profile image, right? The banner image for your Facebook page, and
Right.
you're maybe spending some money on Fiverr, maybe, whatever, just doing it on your own. But it's not really, and then following the hashtags. One thing that I hear a lot of agents sometimes are like, okay, here's my database. Can you guys take it over and manage it for me? And it's like, I don't know these people. I
Yeah.
don't know, if, and I like pets. I just, I'm scared to death of dogs. So I don't have any pets. But, if I'm going to do something about pets,
Yeah.
like, for you, I don't know anything about pets. I would not be able to help you. One of the things that I think a lot of needs to be kind of expressed out there too, is that, like, this is about you and your personal, in your business, right? And about marketing yourself.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to do it yourself. There are some things that you have to be in on, and you have to know, and you have to be in the trenches down there, right? And do some of the things.
It's true. Yeah. And a lot of agents that tend to start to work with me, their first question is, okay, so can I hire you to just do this, for me? And I say, well, it's not really something that I heavily market. I do have that as available as a service, but I'll tell you, 90% of the agents, when we're done, right, going through my program, they're like, I want to do this myself, because I've simplified it. I've made it fun for them, because they realize that they have the strategy and they've got the simple steps that they can just literally, put 30-minute timer on your phone, commit to that, check off the tasks that I give you in the written documentation. And they find themselves even wanting to invest more time, just because it really does become something that you can do, that you feel connected with, and inspired, I guess I should say. You don't want to avoid it. You feel motivated and inspired.
Yeah. And I love that, because there's something in empowering others to, just to kind of take the reins of your own business, and kind of move in that direction.
Yeah.
There's a question here from Brian. He's saying that he lives in the Denver metro suburb, and are you recommending making content for just his town and market to that area, or should he just try to reach all of the Denver metro area?
Yeah, great question, Brian. And I'm in Denver too. So hey, fellow Denverite. Yeah, again, the more hyper local you can get, the more success that you're going to see. So, if you just kind of think about, I know I got 30 minutes. Am I going to spend 30 minutes to try and find all of the relevant content all over Denver? No. You're going to be really effective in 30 minutes of being able to find that content in your local geographical pocket, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's just a lot more efficient, and it's a lot more effective.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think one of the things that, and I've had a local realtor, Jay Shlum, who was the former mayor of Fountain Hills, where I live now, talk about, there's things in our community here where I live that happen, like in a couple of weeks, we're going to have the Thanksgiving Day parade. So you can just take a quick minute and share from the town that they're having this Thanksgiving Day parade. Just share it from your Facebook, from their Chamber of Commerce page, or whoever's running it. Right here, it's our Chamber of Commerce. Share it from Chamber of Commerce to my Facebook page, and say, hey, join us. We'll be out there. Maybe we've got a little area, and one of some of our friends here, my friends here, have they give out hot chocolate that morning, and do whatever it is, tailgate at our office.
Yeah, there's so much,
so many things that you can do, and
this time of year.
Right. And you just can invite people. There was a question in here, like, how do I get people more to engage more with my business page? You can invite people that you already have worked with in the past, get some reviews in there, get some things like that going.
Right.
And that's kind of, getting that momentum of kind of getting more people in there. And then you have that engagement, and that will grow in the shares that people will, because now if I'm living in that community and I share that post from, Realtor X saying about this Thanksgiving Day parade, and other people that I know that live in this area say, oh, that's fantastic. Well, let me share it because I don't know everyone in this town, then they share it. And now it's shared several times from here. That algorithm sees that it's attributed to
exactly. And the
Yeah.
Realtor X name stays with it, right?
Right,
So
right.
it's gonna gets that ripple effect, but you're the one that originated it as well.
Exactly.
And another great strategy that I teach is go on Facebook and search for events that are going on in your local area and reach out to whoever it is that is created that Facebook event and just say, hey, would you mind adding me as a co-host to this Facebook event so that I can help market it for you? So double benefit there, right? Your name will now, your business page name will now be attached as one of the co-hosts. So it becomes visible to everybody in the community that you are a part of helping promote this. And then you look like you're, kind of wanting to come from a servant perspective, right? You're asking them, I see that this is such a fantastic event. Let me help you to promote it and
I
market
love
it.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
love that because all, companies would love having that,
Absolutely.
additional advertisement that's free to them, right?
Exactly.
So Brian's asking a follow-up here. So he says, he doesn't really want to make everyone in the Denver area feel like he only specializes in this one area.
Right.
Right. I've been to Denver. It's a pretty big city. There's all these suburbs
Right.
around, right? And
Absolutely.
so how does that come across where it's like, okay, I know this one, I'm in this suburb, but I can go to other suburbs around, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and I get this all the time, like Lisa, right? She's like, I'm not just Kenosha, I'm other way. So you want to make sure that you're primarily using your marketing to identify a specific pocket, but then also add and surrounding areas. So, one of the things that we do for my clients is we write out the whole social media bio. We do the keyword research, the hashtag research, all of that, but we will also make sure that we identify and surrounding areas as well. And not just say Denver, like you'd want to make sure if you are also in, I don't remember where he said he was, but let's say that you are in, primarily specialize in Westminster, but you could also say that you also are in Lafayette or Thornton or Boulder, right? So you can add those names in as well, because I'm always coming from an algorithm search engine perspective. So you don't want to miss out if someone is searching for those other areas that you show up. And then also in your hashtags list. So don't just have all the hashtags about Westminster. You could also put hashtag Thornton and hashtag, Arvada or wherever it is. So you are also including those other geographical areas. But when it comes to your content strategy, work on that hyper local one geographical pocket.
Yeah, I love that.
You'll show up in front of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. Because if you think about, any metro area, right, there's going to be, you might be on one end of the spectrum and it takes you an hour to get across town to the other side of it. And you might serve it, but really, this area and this surrounding, you'll go there. And a lot of times people that know, like, and trust you, they're going to ask you like, hey, I got this place over here. It's an hour away. Would you go? Right. And that's really up to you. I mean, most of the time they'll ask you, they'll just ask you, will you go? That's right. And most of the time, that's on you then to decide. But I think that's always a great way of doing it with the hashtag. You
have to start showing up, right? You have to show up somewhere. You have to start becoming visible. And it's kind of the good problem to have, right? That you might show up somewhere and maybe someone doesn't want to be there, but if they know about you, they're going to ask. And if you're willing to drive an hour to take them to Aurora, that's your choice, but at least you'll get the ask, right?
Exactly.
You got to start being seen.
Yeah, I love that. And I know we're running short on time. We've got 6 minutes left here and we're just still in the top of the funnel. We're just still talking about how to get people coming to us. So, one of the things, and we'll kind of touch on this lightly, but it is, you want to then, you don't want just the likes and the follows and the shares, right? Because you can't take that to the bank and deposit any of that, right? That doesn't go anywhere. So then that's that next step, that middle part. Like, so now what? So now you're getting some of these followers, you're getting some of these things. And this is then the time where you kind of are still then in that nurturing phase, right? Of the process where you're saying, okay, now that you're liking and you see people continuously liking and sharing and doing all of that, Then that next part would be adding a landing page. And that's where we would fit in to this whole strategy, is you want to then create. So it's not just about posting about the Thanksgiving Day parade, but then it would be that next step, like, and come by our office before the parade or after the parade and get, hot chocolate or whatever it is, or, the kids can take a picture with Santa or whatever. But you want to then and sign up here to join, right? Because now that sign up here to join, or accept your, or RSVP, then what happens? Then they're giving you their contact information. Because when you just get somebody liking something or sharing it, you're like, okay, well, Bob Jones likes it. That's great. Now who's Bob? How do I talk to Bob? I don't know. And so then that's that next step, right? That middle of the funnel where you're getting their contact information and start nurturing that person, to try and getting them to convert it. And I'm like, okay, so Karen, we've got 4 minutes. What kind of speed round here? What would you say, like, now you get their contact information, and then it's kind of from there, it's just about that next step of nurturing and engaging and continuously doing things, right?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And so a lot of it is, to your point, is using the social media as, if you think of that funnel, right? We're the top of the funnel. These are the top of the funnel tools. So you want to pull as many people into the top of the funnel and continue to gauge and get that conversation. And then once you've really started to kind of become that know, like, and trust, right, resource, then you can start to have those more call to action types questions that'll drop them a little bit farther down in the funnel. But you need to have a tool that you can manage all of that, and having them, respond to a call to action. If it is, I want to continue to add value, maybe a little bit more, do you want to get together for coffee? Do you want to just meet? How there's a coat drive. Can I come pick up coats from you and take them over there? But get it to where it's more of that personal conversation, and then you can have their contact. And then, using Wise Asian as a tool to be able to continue showing up in other areas, not just in front of social media, and doing, getting when's their anniversary, when's their birthday, sending them those little, little touches, or email marketing, and the saying, all these ways that you can stay top of mind. But you don't want to just assume that in the very beginning. That we don't respond well to that, right? We want to nurture them first, and then have the ask of, hey, can we just stay connected a little bit more intimately and personally, versus just always seeing a post on social media.
And don't be upset or offended if you have, 200 likes on some post, and then really when there's eventually a call to action, like RSVP to this or do that or whatever, or ask me questions, then you only get like 5 people or 7 people. Don't get offended by that. It's okay. Those 200 people are still there. They're still following along. They're just still they're not ready to do whatever it is that you're asking. So continuously keep on and engage. Don't be discouraged by just the 5 people that maybe filled out your landing page to hear what you have to say about, what the state of the economy is in your neighborhood, or, come to your, donuts drive, or your coat drive, or your whatever drive, right? So don't be offended by that. Don't, just have patience and continuously, keep up and nurturing in that. So I love that. And I love, I'm sorry, Karen, I have to say, because Joseph and Diana here are connecting.
I know, they're having this conversation.
Because Joseph has a son that's moving to New York. And so I love seeing that. So you can even socialize and network on here on our webinars. So I love seeing that.
And Diana is going through my program as well.
Yes.
So it's great to see some of my clients on here.
Fantastic. That is fantastic. And so Karen, I love this conversation. I think it was fantastic. And I hope you all have taken some things away here. I know we've got a few more things to dive deep into, and so we might have to ask you to come back here, but
happy to.
I definitely would love to see if maybe, I know Sarah has your contact information, how people can reach out to you. And then, thank you, Sarah. And I just really appreciate all the advice, because this was all free. This is all stuff that they can just start doing like today. Like,
Absolutely.
you could just take the next 30 minutes and start doing that. And I hope you guys all do, and let us know. Reach out to Karen, reach out to myself, and let us know how this is going. And you know, feel free to invite me to your business page to like it. I always like looking at that. And so feel free to reach out. So thank you so much for being on here and sharing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate it. And if anybody wants to just schedule time with me to kind of talk further about this, then the behindyourcurtain.com has the link. So I'd love to chat with any of you further about this.
Awesome. Thank you. And then please join me on Monday. Hopefully my Zoom to Facebook will work. So we'll try and figure out, I'm sure Sarah from my team is going to figure out a way to get this on Facebook. So Monday at noon, I'm going to be back on a webinar with Marky Lemons. Marky and I are going to be talking.
I love Marky.
Yes, she's a great
She's
friend, Chicago girl like me.
And
so we're going to be talking about pivoting your real estate business with foreclosures and short sales, you know, some of the things that might be coming up here in the near future in real estate. And so Marky was known as the short sale queen. So we're going to be talking about that and just kind of what this next phase in the what's happening in real estate will be coming up. So she's going to be sharing some cool things, and we're going to have a great discussion on Monday. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Karen. I really appreciate you.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.